Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage here, and I thought it was time that I gave a little bit of a channel update because it's been a while since I've done one. The game in the background, I couldn't tell you what it is because I haven't recorded it yet. I'm just recording this basically as commentary, and then I'll play a game and basically use it as a video in the background, probably Overwatch or something like that. So first of all, you may have noticed over the last couple of weeks there hasn't really been much variety of content on the channel. At the moment, the only series that I currently have running is EU4. Partially that's because I was a little bit busy over Easter, and of course my partner was on holiday, so it's a chance for me to spend a bit of time with her and have a bit of a break and not spend all of my time basically recording videos. But on top of that, I just haven't really had anything else interesting to record. I mean, yes, I could go back and record more series of Civilization 6 and Stellaris and things like that. But the point of it is, out of all of the different series that I cover on my channel, EU4 gets the most views by a significant number. EU4 probably gets twice the number of views per video that my second next popular series would. So when I go down to one series, EU4 is probably the series that I will keep going. The only issue with EU4, of course, is that the series of EU4 do tend to run on for quite some time. And as you've probably noticed with YouTube videos, and not just YouTube, it works much the same way in the film and TV industry, particularly with episodic series, where the longer a season goes on for, the viewer numbers drop and drop. And it's exactly the same for Let's Play videos on YouTube. I start a new series of something, that first video might get a couple of thousand views, the second video might get 1,000, the third might get 600 or 700. By the time you get down to the 10th or 15th video, we're in the sort of 400 to 500s. By the time we're on to episode 2025, maybe we're getting a couple of hundred videos, a couple of hundred views. Now, a couple of hundred views sounds like a lot, but when you consider that's out of nearly 12,000 subscribers, it's a very, very small number. And of course, that's only when we hit the sort of video 25-ish. Some of these series of EU4 can go on to be 100 episodes long. So I would like to try and keep some of the series shorter when I can, just so that I can put new series out and keep things fresh. But other than that, I haven't really had an awful lot of stuff to play. There's a few games that I've been dabbling with in my spare time, things that I just play for my own enjoyment. Obviously Overwatch, which I've been getting a bit salty with recently, so I've been taking a little bit of a break from that. I've also been playing a fair bit of Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's a little bit of a silly game, but you know, I do enjoy playing it. Got a friend that I play it with as well, which is quite enjoyable. Recently picked up Sniper Elite 4. Again, silly little game. But I do enjoy playing it. It's quite a nice game to look at as well. It looks very good, runs very well. Having a lot of fun with it. First time I picked it up and played it, put like 4 hours into it. The main thing is, anything, as I said, anything that I put on the channel that isn't EU4 doesn't get nearly as many views as anything else. And anything that I put on the channel that isn't a strategy game gets woefully low views. So much so that I have tried doing other stuff in the past, and normally after sort of 4 or 5 videos, I look at the numbers and just go, okay, nobody's really watching it, so I'm just going to stop. It's one of the main reasons why I stopped Warcraft 3, even though it is a strategy game. And okay, fair enough, it is an older title, but there are about 60 people watching it at its best. And I thought it's just, you know, I could be spending that time doing something else. So I'm hoping over the next few weeks that I actually get back into the swing of things and I'm able to record more content. Obviously, if you saw my video last week with Julian Gollop, we were talking about Phoenix Point, which is the new game that he's just taken to FIG. If you're not familiar with FIG, it's a crowdfunding website similar to Kickstarter, except that it is specifically for video games. And they also offer things like investment opportunities as well. So it's got a slightly different dynamic, the way which it works. But the core of it is, it pretty much does the same thing Kickstarter does. You go to the site, you pledge money, the project gets funded, they can make their game. They asked for $500,000. The project runs for like 42, 43 days. Like I said, it started last week at the time of recording this video. Last night it just reached its funding. So with 37 days left to go, it's already hit its $500,000 goal. If you're not familiar with Phoenix Point and you didn't see the video, and if you're not familiar with the developer Snapshot Games or its CEO Julian Gollop, Julian is the guy who was originally one of 2 brothers who started up a development company called Mythos Games back in the late 80s, I believe. And you've if you haven't heard of Julian Gollop, you'll have probably heard of at least some of his games like Chaos and Laser Squad and Rebel Star, but most famously XCOM. Then we're not talking about the Firaxis 2K XCOM of 2000 and whatever. We're talking about the original XCOM UFO, XCOM UFO Defense, or UFO Enemy Unknown in 1994. So he's the guy that created the original. Now, of course, Firaxis remade that because they hold the rights to it, because they sort of eventually got the rights from Microprose after Microprose folded, because Sid Meier, who was one of the founders of Microprose, is now the head of Firaxis, and Firaxis are the people that made the XCOM game. So Julian himself doesn't own the rights to the XCOM brand, but he did come up with the sort of the isometric tactical sort of combat model that a lot of games use today. And Julian's gone back to his roots, and Phoenix Point is basically very similar to the original XCOM, obviously with modern graphics and assets, but this time around it's got a bit of a sort of a horror Lovecraftian style vibe to it, and it's looking really, really good. Now at the moment, because the game has been in development for about a year, but there isn't really much to see other than a few screenshots and videos provided by the developer. I'm very much hoping that Julian will work with me like he did with Chaos Reborn and allow me some exclusive access to bits of the game. Even though it's not finished, I'd absolutely love to be able to show you guys work in progress, show you what the gameplay is like. So I'm going to keep badgering him, and hopefully he will finally give in and give me some sort of access to that. I'm also still sitting on a copy of Steel Division Normandy 44, which is a real-time World War II strategy game by the people who made Ruse. It's very similar to Ruse and Wargame and things like that. I'm absolutely terrible at it though. It's a fantastic looking game and I love the idea of it. I just wish that I was better at it than I was. But I probably will look at that at some point. I was also talking with Marbazir about getting some multiplayer of that going, so I'll have to get in touch with him again and see if it's something that he's willing to do, because I know he's pretty much in the same situation. He's sitting on a copy of it but hasn't really had time to touch it at the moment. There was also some talk of Worms of Mass Destruction being revived with myself, Marbazir, Kelvin and Benjamin Magnus. Whether or not that happens, I do not know, but I think at least 3 out of the 4 of us said we'd like to do it again, and certainly a lot of Marbazir's viewers enjoyed it, so I enjoyed playing it, so I think that'd be great. Especially when you consider that out of the 4 channels, I am the smaller, so it is a good opportunity for me to collab with some friends and some larger channels. And what else have we got? We are stalling out a little bit on views and subscribers at the moment. They're a bit lower than they were over Christmas time. Views haven't dropped too much. When Civilization 6 came out in October last year, we were hitting sort of 120,000 views a month. It's dropped down after Christmas, as expected it always does. It did dip down into the 70,000s at one point, and it's slowly climbing back up. Seems to be holding steady around about 90,000 views a month. I'd like to have it consistently over 100 though. That is sort of my goal for this year, to have 100,000 views a month consistently over the year. Subscribers are up and down and all over the place. That seems pretty standard with YouTube these days, not just for myself, but with every single channel. One thing that has actually improved, though, is on my Patreon. I currently have more donations from Patreon than I ever have before, including some quite large donations and also some smaller donations that some people have been keeping going for a long time. If you are one of those people, again, I'd like to say a very big thank you. I do really appreciate all the support that you have shown me over the years, and it is you guys that do help me to keep this channel running. I've said it before, but for those of you that aren't familiar with it, YouTube is not my full-time job. I used to work in retail until about 5 years ago, and I ended up having to essentially leave full-time work because my mother became very ill. She's old, she's disabled, and she basically needed someone who was able to help look after her and do certain things around the house for her and help her with certain everyday tasks that she struggles with. So that basically became my full-time job. Now, the government does pay me for doing that, but it is a very small wage. It's an absolute pittance. I can tell you exactly how, well, I can't tell you exactly how much it is because I can't remember the pennies, but it is in British money £62 a week, which is about $75. So you imagine getting paid $75 a week for doing something, which of course, I mean, even if they didn't pay me, I'd still do it. But essentially, because I have to spend a minimum of 35 hours a week caring for her, there's not really any way that I could get a full-time job. I did actually try and apply for a few jobs here and there. I've looked at part-time jobs because I would like to carry on having some free time to also carry on with the YouTube channel. I actually applied for a full-time job with Rare in the UK, the developers working on their pirate game, which I've completely forgotten the name of, Sea of Thieves. And despite having a relatively good interview and them basically telling me that I was qualified for the job and they really liked my ideas and all of that MacGuffins, they didn't give me the job in the end because they said they didn't think I would be a good cultural fit for the team. So despite the fact that I was qualified enough and had all of the answers they wanted, apparently I wasn't hipster enough to work for them, so that was the end of that. So I am stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment. So there were two reasons why I started my YouTube channel. First of all, it was because it gave me a bit of a creative outlet, a bit of a way to vent, and to basically do something that I enjoy doing. It was a hobby. But it was also a little bit of additional income from the ad revenue. Now, of course, as time has gone on, my channel has grown, and the ad revenue has gone up slightly over time, and I've also switched my partners over, my network partners. I used to be with Maker and I switched over to Curse last year because they take a much smaller percentage. But recently, and this doesn't just affect myself but pretty much everyone on YouTube that makes any money from ad revenue, the amount of money that we make has actually dropped significantly since Christmas time. The main reason for that is there was a little bit of controversy going on that I think started off with PewDiePie. And basically what happened is, I don't know if you know how adverts work on YouTube, but essentially YouTube and its partners go out to various different ad agencies and sell them advertising space on videos. And those advertisers can choose what sort of demographics that they want to show their advert to, because of course YouTube tracks statistics like your age, your location, your gender, so it can show the right adverts to the right people. It can also decide what sort of videos to show those ads on. So if you're an advertiser and you're advertising a computer game or a piece of computer hardware, you might want to have your advert shown on a Let's Players channel because those are likely to be your target audience members. Now, there's been a bit of controversy, which, as I said, I think started with PewDiePie and his whole sort of anti-Semitic, Nazi thing he had going on for a while, which, whether it was just a joke done in poor taste or whether it was serious, it actually gave advertisers some cause for concern, because a lot of the advertisers suddenly turned around and went, hang on a minute, we don't want our product associated with these people. If there's somebody making a channel or somebody making videos on a channel that are offensive or highly controversial, we don't necessarily want our product to be placed on the ad in front of that video. Now, it was mostly blown all out of proportion because there was only one or two people that were sort of cause for concern. And also YouTube have been going around making certain videos ineligible for advertising, simply because they think that they contain non-advertiser friendly content. But the biggest issue is a lot of the advertisers got really nervous about this whole thing and pulled out of YouTube. So as a result, if you're one of the people that doesn't actually use an ad blocker, you might have noticed fewer ads on YouTube videos, and that's simply because there aren't enough ads to serve. Advertisers only pay to have a limited number of ads shown, and those ads have to be split between various different videos and various different channels. So even though I might be getting roughly the same amount of views that I was 6 months ago, I'm only getting about 1/3 of the amount of ad views that I was 1 month ago, simply because the advertisers aren't paying to advertise on YouTube anymore. So as a result, my revenue from YouTube at the moment is lower than it has been in years. So this is the reason why I really do appreciate those people who do sponsor and support me on Patreon, because I'll be quite honest with you, if it weren't for you guys, there'd be some weeks where I can't eat. For the first time, I think it was last week or the week before, I actually had to borrow some money to get food. That's how bad it became. So yeah, there are certainly ups and downs with YouTube at the moment. It's looking quite scary, almost to the point where I'm sort of thinking maybe I need to just get a part-time job or and just give YouTube up completely. I don't want to do that because I still love doing this, but I thought it was fair to put you guys in the picture and just sort of let you know what is going on. Like I said, it's not just affecting my channel, but pretty much anyone who runs a YouTube channel is having the same issue at the moment, even the larger channels, although of course the larger channels probably earning so much money they don't really notice the dip, or at least they will probably notice the dip, but it won't be enough to cause them too much concern, I would say. But certainly for me, where I sort of rely on every penny that I get from YouTube, it is making things a little bit difficult. If any of you have got any suggestions for games that you'd like to see me play, by all means leave them in the comments. I will give everything serious consideration. However, I've got to decide whether or not I feel that it fits in line with the channel, whether it's something I'd enjoy playing. I'm not going to play a game that I don't enjoy just for the sake of making videos, because if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, it comes across. And also it needs to be a game that I either already own or a game that I can easily get a free key for, because of course I don't really have all the spare cash at the moment to buy loads of games to play on the channel. So that is basically my update for, what are we in now, May 2017. Hopefully, like I said, I will be able to bring you some exclusive stuff for Phoenix Point. If I can, that should hopefully bring some new viewers to the channel. But if not, I shall just carry on forging forwards and see what I can do. So thanks a lot for listening to me ramble on and rant, guys. I will see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.